There was once a time when the world felt heavier than your heart could carry, when the nights seemed longer than they should be and the mornings arrived without hope, when your hands were empty and your pockets were light and even your prayers felt like they were falling back down before they reached heaven. In moments like these, when life presses down on the chest like a stone and every breath feels like effort, it is easy to believe that you have been forgotten. But listen closely, because there is a story carried through centuries for souls exactly like yours, for the weary, the overlooked, the poor in spirit and poor in bread, for those who think they have nothing left. It is the story of Jesus walking dusty roads not toward palaces but toward broken people, not toward gold but toward tears, not toward crowds of pride but toward corners of pain. He did not come searching for the strong who boast of their strength, he came searching for the weak who whisper for help. And if you feel weak today, then you are exactly the kind of person he walked miles to find. He once stood on a hillside with people who owned almost nothing, people whose clothes were thin and whose stomachs were often empty, people who knew rejection more than celebration. They expected a speech about rules or power or judgment, but instead he spoke words softer than rain and stronger than thunder. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are those who mourn, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who hunger and thirst, not just for food but for righteousness, for justice, for relief from pain." The crowd must have looked at each other in confusion, because the world had always told them the opposite. The world said blessed are the rich, the loud, the admired, the feared. But he reversed the order of everything they had ever believed. He told them heaven notices tears. He told them God counts sighs. He told them the broken are not abandoned, they are seen. Imagine that moment as if you were standing there, dust on your feet, worries in your chest, wondering how tomorrow's meal would appear. Imagine hearing someone say that your suffering does not disqualify you from love, but draws love closer. His voice was not harsh. It did not sound like rulers who command or merchants who bargain. His voice sounded like someone who understood hunger because he had felt it, who understood loneliness because he had walked through it, who understood rejection because he had been rejected. When he spoke, people felt as though their hidden wounds were finally being acknowledged. Some of them had never heard anyone speak hope directly to them before. Maybe you know that feeling, when one kind word can keep you alive for another day. That is the kind of word he gave, again and again, like bread multiplied in invisible ways. There was a man once who sat beside a road begging, ignored by everyone passing by. People stepped around him as if he were an obstacle instead of a human being. He had learned not to expect kindness because disappointment had trained him well. But when Jesus approached, he did not step around him. He stopped. The crowd probably wondered why. Important teachers did not stop for beggars. Holy men did not interrupt their journeys for the poor. But he did. He asked the man what he needed, not because he did not know, but because he wanted the man to know his voice mattered. The beggar spoke with trembling hope, and before the crowd could silence him, Jesus answered him with mercy. In that moment, the man realized something greater than healing had happened. Someone had seen him. To be seen when you feel invisible is sometimes the greatest miracle of all. You may feel like that beggar now, sitting beside the road of life while others pass you by, carrying their success, their laughter, their full plates, while you sit with questions and emptiness. But the story whispers that the road is not empty forever. There is always a moment when footsteps approach, when compassion comes closer than you expected. The world may overlook you, but heaven does not overlook anyone. The same teacher who stopped for that forgotten man still stops for hearts that call quietly in the dark. He is not repelled by weakness. He is drawn to it. He is not impatient with sorrow. He listens to it. He does not measure your worth by coins or status or applause. He measures your worth by love, and love cannot be bought or sold, only given. There were nights when he himself had no place to sleep, when the sky was his roof and the earth his bed. The one who spoke of eternal kingdoms knew what it meant to have no home. The one who promised living water knew thirst. The one who fed thousands knew hunger. He never asked the poor to endure something he had not tasted. That is why his comfort feels real, not distant or theoretical. When he says you are not alone, it is not a slogan, it is testimony. He walked the same road of exhaustion. He felt the same sting of being misunderstood. He carried the same weight of tears. And still he kept walking, because he knew that beyond suffering there is a dawn that pain cannot stop. People often think strength looks like shouting, conquering, dominating. But he showed that true strength can look like patience, forgiveness, gentleness. When others insulted him, he did not insult back. When others hated him, he did not return hatred. When others doubted him, he still chose compassion. That kind of strength is quiet, but it is unbreakable. It is the strength that allows a heart to survive storms. If you feel small because you are gentle, remember that gentleness is not weakness, it is controlled power. The strongest hearts are often the softest ones, because they refuse to become cruel even after being hurt. There was also a day when people brought children to him, children with dusty faces and simple clothes, children who owned nothing impressive. Some adults tried to push them away, thinking they were unimportant interruptions. But he stopped those adults and welcomed the children close. He said the kingdom of heaven belongs to ones like them. Think about that. Not kings, not generals, not the wealthy, but children, those who have nothing except trust. In a world that praises status, he praised simplicity. In a world that honors wealth, he honored innocence. That means your value does not depend on what you own. Even if your hands are empty, your soul can still be rich with something the world cannot manufacture. Sometimes pain convinces you that your story is finished, that your chapter has ended too soon, that your future has closed its doors. But his life tells another message. The darkest day of his life looked like defeat. He was mocked, wounded, abandoned, left in suffering while many watched without understanding. If anyone had reason to believe hope was gone, it was him in that moment. Yet that day of sorrow became the doorway to a victory no one expected. The lesson hidden there is gentle but powerful. What looks like an ending may be a beginning disguised. Your hardest season may be shaping a strength you cannot yet see. Your tears may be watering seeds that will bloom later. You might wonder why suffering exists at all, why hearts must break, why poverty presses so hard. Those questions have echoed through centuries, and even the wisest minds have wrestled with them. But while answers may sometimes remain mysterious, one truth stands clear in his story. Suffering is never wasted when love is present. He turned pain into compassion, wounds into healing, rejection into invitation. He showed that even when life is unfair, goodness can still grow. And if goodness can grow in hardship, then hardship cannot have the final word. Picture him sitting beside you right now, not in glory and thunder, but quietly, as a friend who understands silence. He does not rush you. He does not scold you for your sadness. He simply stays. His presence is like a lamp in a dark room, not loud, not forceful, just steady. And slowly, as light fills the corners, fear begins to loosen its grip. That is how hope often arrives, not as fireworks but as a small steady glow. Do not underestimate small lights. Even a candle can defy a night. He once told a story about a shepherd who left 99 safe sheep to search for one that was lost. Many listeners thought the shepherd's decision sounded foolish. Why risk the many for the one? But the story revealed something beautiful. To him, no one is expendable. Not the poorest, not the weakest, not the most forgotten. If you feel like the one who wandered off, the one who fell behind, the one who thinks they do not matter, that story was told for you. It says you are worth being searched for. It says you are worth being carried home. It says your life is not a mistake, but a treasure someone is willing to cross valleys to find. There will be days when your strength feels gone, when even hope feels heavy. On those days, remember that faith does not have to be loud. It can be as small as a whisper saying, "Help me." Even that whisper is heard. Even that whisper matters. He once said that faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. A mustard seed is tiny, almost invisible, yet inside it is the power of growth. Your hope may feel tiny, but if you hold it, nurture it, protect it, it can still grow into something that shades you like a tree. The world often measures people by success, appearance, possessions. But he measured people by love. He praised a poor widow who gave 2 small coins because she gave with her whole heart. Others gave large amounts, yet he said her gift was greater. Why? Because love, not size, determines worth. This means your small acts of kindness, your quiet patience, your unseen sacrifices are precious beyond measure. Even if no one applauds them, heaven sees them. Nothing done with love is ever lost. If you have been hurt by people, betrayed, ignored, or spoken to harshly, know that he understands wounds caused by others. He was betrayed by a friend, denied by another, abandoned by many. He knows how it feels when trust breaks. Yet he chose forgiveness instead of bitterness. Forgiveness did not mean the pain was small, it meant love was bigger. And that same love can slowly heal your wounds too. Healing does not always happen instantly. Sometimes it comes gently, like dawn spreading across the sky. But it does come. You may not see a path forward right now. Your future may look like fog. But fog does not remove the road, it only hides it for a while. Step by step, the way becomes clearer. Trust does not require seeing the whole journey. It only requires taking the next step. He once said not to worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself. He did not say this to ignore problems but to free hearts from fear. When you focus only on today's step, the burden becomes lighter. And often you discover that strength appears exactly when you need it. Somewhere, perhaps in a quiet place within you, there is still a spark that refuses to go out. Protect that spark. That is hope. That is the part of you that believes goodness is still possible. He came to guard that spark in people, to breathe on it gently until it grew into flame. He did not crush fragile hearts, he restored them. He did not discard the weak, he lifted them. And he is still known for doing that in unseen ways, in silent moments, in hearts that call for help. So if tonight you feel poor, remember that poverty of circumstance does not mean poverty of worth. If you feel sad, remember that sadness is not a sign you are abandoned. Sometimes it is a sign you care deeply. If you feel forgotten, remember the teacher who walked miles for strangers and stopped for beggars. His story continues to travel across time for one reason, to reach hearts like yours. Hearts that need reassurance. Hearts that need rest. Hearts that need to hear that they matter. Let this truth settle gently inside you like warm light. You are not alone in your struggle, not invisible in your pain, not worthless in your poverty. There is a love that sees you completely and still chooses you. A love that does not fade when money fades. A love that does not disappear when friends disappear. A love that stays. Hold on to that love when nights are long. Hold on to it when days feel empty. Because even the smallest thread of hope, held tightly, can lead you out of the darkest valley and into a morning you once thought would never come.